Welcome to Press Coverage. I'm Theo Gremminger, and tonight I'm joined by Alan Seslowsky, and Cody Carpentier will be here soon. Alan, we're drafting in the Deep End Invitational. We're streaming this one to YouTube, pre-recorded, because...
No, this is live. What are you talking about? This is live.
Some people like when we go live. Some people like when they don't mind the pre-recording, but I'll say the reason we're pre-recording is the Deep End's covering this, because this is run by Mike Shope and Adam Krautwurst. It's very cool that they do this. We're happy to have them. Thrilled to have them on Player Profiler YouTube, Player Profiler Podcast. Those guys are super sharp, but they run the Deep End Invitational, which is basically it's high stakes, known high stakes players from the FFPC and other high stakes formats with well-known people like Alan Seslowsky from content creation. So in our draft tonight, just for example, you've got Alan Seslowsky, you've got Dan Williamson, you've got Biplap Mandel, a really great drafter. You've got Adam Krautwurst. You've got Dwain McFarland.
Bunch of donkeys in this draft, man. Bunch of donkeys, fakes, man. We are going to dominate these fools in this draft, Theo.
You know, I always do pretty well in my drafts. I have my big drafts. one of my big drafts of the year. I'm in the NFFC Super tomorrow night and an NFFC Primetime live in New York City. So this is a nice little warm up. I am not at the NFFC tip off party tonight at Chris Vaccaro's bar. Because I am in this draft. So I'm excited to be doing this, but I'll see a bunch of those guys tomorrow night. But Alan, we're 1 week away from the NFL season. You're in the 3 hole. I'm in the 7 spot. Cody is actually in the 10 spot. So we'll have a nice little breakup here. And to anybody who's listening at home, this is a Superflex tight end premium, 3 starting wide receivers, and also 2 flexes. And welcome to Cody Carpentier in the house. The people were like, where is Alan? Where is Cody? You don't have those guys on press coverage. 1 week before the season, we got it going.
Yep. Who's picking number 2? Who's Dave?
I need to double check that. I'm not 100%. I didn't look at the whole board, but this is Cody, you've been doing this for a while. It's always a really challenging draft. It's not quite as deep as we used to do back in the day, though.
How many rounds are we running tonight? I honestly
20,
I just opened the draft for the first time.
20 rounds. That's Dave Turp. So Dave Turpioli is a great drafter. Does a lot of high stakes drafts. So Dave takes Jalen Hurts. He's a Philly homer, but it's a good pick here in the Superflex. Dan Williamson took Josh Allen at the 101. So it's Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Alan Seslowsky is probably going to go chalky. What are you taking?
Well, I'm going angry Mahomes season. Like Mahomes revenge. Screw everybody. We were sucked last year. And obviously, Mahomes, it's the only QB 14 that ever gets picked from the previous year that gets picked in the top 3, right? Like that would never happen with anyone else.
Yeah, and now we see. Okay, so we see. I think that's Pat Daugherty, and he takes Lamar Jackson. So we see 4 straight quarterbacks at the top. Crino and Kelly is a well-known FFPC drafter. Well, I'll wonder which way they go. This is sort of like, do you go with a Stroud or Richardson, or do you go with a positional player?
Hey, Theo, Cody, also, because this is a best ball and only the number 1 guy gets a prize, stacking is in play here, right? Like if this was just a standalone league where, I mean, what do you think about that whole part of it, the stacking?
Yeah, I mean, we're competing against not only our group of 12, but also the other leagues. It's not quite as big as like a FFPC main event or a 350 where you've got thousands of teams. Okay, so CeeDee Lamb goes, I'm OTC here, and I'm going to skip a quarterback here, and I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill, who is going to average 20-plus points per game, and I fill one of my wide receiver slots every single week. So leaving a couple, I know who Cody's going to take if he's there at 10. And we're not live, guys, so we can talk openly here.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill go 6-7. Cody, do you agree with that, or would you have pushed a quarterback where I took Tyreek?
I could speak for Cody. Of course he would have taken a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, Hill's really the only one. Within those first 7 quarterbacks, Hill's probably the only one I would have broken that for.
Whoa.
But I wouldn't have really done it other than
Alan, you act like no quarterback's going to be on the clock, going to be available to us in the second round here.
Well, I'm just saying Cody's an Anthony Richardson, a 101 guy.
Yeah. So here's the honesty truth. I talked to Mike Shope a couple weeks ago on the Buffalo radio. And he was like, "Oh, Anthony Richardson," and I was like, "God, see, look at this. Now everyone walks me right into it. Yeah, now I have to do it." I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I'm probably not going to do it. Like, it's one of those things you do it."
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
101. Now I'm like, But
right, I know what you're saying. It becomes like you forced. Like I was in the NFFC and I did a couple videos on Chase is the 101, and I had the 102, so I felt pressured into taking Chase. Right, you want to stay on, But I mean, whatever. I mean, it's not a bad pick, Anthony Richardson. I mean, you felt that way a few months ago. Nothing's really changed.
I'll say one pick that I don't necessarily agree with this early is Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow's falling like a stone in some of these FFPC drafts. I'm in a main event draft with Dan Williamson, a slow one, and we got Joe Burrow in the 10th round. And that's single quarterback, so this is a lot different. But I don't know if he gives you the sort of edge like a CMC or even like a wide receiver like we'll see Amon-Ra. Dwain's going to take Amon-Ra and Breece Hall.
Tell me the difference. Tell me the difference. Tell me the difference between Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford, right? Like, there's no difference.
God dang it.
Yeah, I mean, I would take Joe Burrow ahead of Matt Stafford, but like...
But I'm saying it's not that different. They both have two receivers that are going in the top 35, 40 picks.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
And, they don't run, either of them.
Come on, Adam.
We'd like the coach better on the Rams. So you could almost argue if Stafford wasn't 36 years old, he would be right in that mix.
Cody Carpentier on the clock here. Which way are you thinking, Cody?
I was going to take Bijan.
Yeah, he was going to be gone. You knew he was going to be gone.
I know he was, but I didn't. As soon as Adam came back, I was like, "There's no way Adam's going to double tap running back right here."
Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaff injury he has.
Yes.
Okay, so after Cody goes, we'll update who's been selected.
I'm using the Ultimate Draft cheat sheet from RosterWatch.com. Have to do it. Superflex 2QB. You know what the avenue is here. Walked me right into Richardson. Took him, and this time it's telling me not to go against it. Don't bastardize it. You got to take Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's either that or the tier below is Dak, and I'm not taking Dak because it's telling me to take Amon-Ra. So Amon-Ra St. Brown coming down, join the team.
I agree with that. I agree.
He would have been gone when I was picking. I would pass up a quarterback for him. If you see the wide receiver run go, Biplap Mandel is going to take a wideout here, I would bet. Bip drafts a ton.
Theo, people are treating quarterback in Superflex leagues like they used to treat running backs with the anchor, or they do treat running backs in single quarterback, right? Like you get that one, and that's change, and then you just, you wait for the next one and you load up on the positionals, right, Cody? Like even last year, people were still at Superflex going quarterback. It's just amazing. Like no one double taps it if it's not Dynasty.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's really tough. I mean, Bitcoin
as someone just did it.
Yeah, it's tough to. You really have to. I have to really feel good about both guys. You just talked about Dynasty specifically. Like, if you could have gotten a Stroud Richardson, a Stroud Daniels, like 2 25, 24, 23-year-old quarterbacks, sure. But when you get to a certain spot, it's like, do I really want to throw away potentially my alpha receiver, my alpha running back? Like, you're talking about getting rid of your balance. Like you're kind of losing a little bit of balance, strength and balance, I think. So,
yep. Theo, I guess that's why Snake at number 9 went Burrow, because he probably was queuing up Chase. He thought Chase was going to fall and correctly got him.
I drafted that correlation last year. I'm OTC here, guys, and I'm not going to lie. I'm going between a couple of wide receivers and I'll say it, Jordan Love. I think I am going to go. You know what? I am going to go quarterback here, and I'm going to go Jordan Love and get a foundational quarterback that I think is a really nice value here in the second round.
Yeah, yep. It's like when you want to go anchor running back in a one quarterback league, and you take Derrick Henry in the second round, right? Like that's the Jordan Love pick. I'm telling you, there's a lot of similarities of how we're playing this in our single quarterback leagues with the running back position.
And Jordan Love is I think he's just awesome. And I think Jordan Love, like, the Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, and I'll throw, table talk, Caleb Williams enthusiasm out there is making people feel comfortable waiting on quarterbacks. And I'll say, guys, you've been drafting a lot. I've been drafting a lot. It's fun this year because, like, last year you knew you'd have to use those early picks on guys like Allen, guys like Hurts. This year it's like quarterback chicken is back, where people want to wait to take that first quarterback. Then those guys are coming off the board. Then like you're going to get that next tier of guys. So even in this draft, you see a little bit of it with the Prescott, Love, Daniels. You see Marvin Harrison Jr. go. I'd be surprised if we don't see Caleb go in these next few picks.
Yeah, who do you think is he going to take? Andrews here to pair? Pat, is that his style?
No. He's going to take a wide. I mean, if he's, not to pigeonhole him, but like there's 2 wide receivers on the board here
Yeah,
really the Brock Purdy. I don't like that right there.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I am going to the Lord Jesus Christ right now and thanking Allah that Garrett Wilson was on the board there for me.
I almost took him. It was Garrett Wilson for me, was right there in consideration. I mean, guys, I bought my son. I saw your boy Matty Kiwoom in Canton, Cody, and I bought a Garrett Wilson jersey. I was in the shop with him, and I'm like, I'm getting this for my son because Garrett Wilson this year is an outside chance of getting wide receiver 1 overall. I think he's going to be heavily targeted. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. I mean, he's just a great value.
Yep.
If your overhyped goats here at the 101 have any stones at all, I know they're not listening. They're hypothetically listening. No, if they have any stones at all, they'll go Caleb Tua here and just run the tricycle like I did last year.
No chance. Dan Williamson. I think it's Bradley Stelder splitting that team. I can't even keep track. There's so many streams right now.
I think it's Dan and I think JD. I saw JD's name on there.
But is Bradley also in the mix? Because I think they're doing it on Stack Hunters. So there's a lot of different shows doing it. Press coverage. We're going to drop the last one, but we're also going to crush it here, guys. I got Alan and I got Cody. Let's do a quick rundown while the overhyped goats are taking their time. And they get
I called it, right? I said Kincaid. I knew it.
You got Allen. Allen, you get it. You get it. But let's go. It's Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, Anthony Richardson, Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall. That's the first round. Then Dwain McFarland kicks off the second round with Justin Jefferson, Bijan Robinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown to Cody Carpentier. Cody's got a nasty start. Really nice team. Jamar Chase goes to the Joe Burrow team. At the 204, then Dak Prescott. I take Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison, Brock Purdy, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, and Dalton Kincaid closes out the second round as the first tight end off the board, mind you.
A question for you, and this is an observation I've made about FFPC with the 1.5 tight end premium. The tight ends obviously get pushed up, but all three of us play a ton of Dynasty, and 1.5 never moves the needle for us. I almost see it as kind of like a donkey-ish move that people push up the tight end so much. I mean, you have to play in the market that's there, but is there, from your FFPC experience, is there an advantage to waiting on tight end, Theo or Cody?
If you hit on it, Alan, but I think this year especially tight end, I don't know about you guys, but this is a year where the mid tight end 1 to low tight end 1 has more appealing players than usual. I think that impactful tight ends are going to make a difference in FFPC formats this year. And also, you don't have to use that excessive pick on a guy like Kelsey because the market is a little more open to going several ways. Like the three of us all might have a different tight end 1 right now, which is exciting. So I don't know, Alan. I think that you actually run into problems usually where people will overdraft guys like Jake Ferguson, that level of player. Pat Freiermuth might go 2 rounds too early.
Right.
Even if we like those guys, they don't give you that edge versus the position like you would see a Laporta this year or McBride. So I don't know.
Cody, do you think that best ball, though, it kind of solidifies my point? Like, it doesn't matter if you get these big time guys, because if you can pair together like 2 or 3 ones at the end that, you're spinning the roulette wheel, you'll probably be competitive anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we're literally talking between 3 of us that are in this draft. So between us and a wall, because nobody else is actually listening live, that's pretty much my strategy in every draft.
Right.
Is I'm not taking a tight end.
In best ball or in lineup. Or
in best ball. I mean, lineup, sometimes I think it really depends on value. If a value falls and I'm happy with it, like this is best ball, but in general leagues, Kincaid's not going to 212. And so Kincaid's a guy that I'll get, if you can get him in the 4th, 5th, 100% of the time I'm doing it. But if I have to, take him ahead of a bunch of these other guys, I'm not going to do it. I'll just wait, and I'm not going to name names, but you'll see later who I take. And it's I feel good about landing 2 or 3, mostly 2 of these guys late in drafts.
Like what tier? Like tight end 12 through 18? Is that like a range that you're comfortable in?
Sure. Yeah, that bottom tier, like the tier that nobody really wants to draft out of. And every year there's always a couple guys, whether they're rookies or whether they're not, or veterans that are overlooked and injured or whatever it is. There's always a couple guys down there that you can get a pretty sick value on. So it really just depends for me. In best ball, 100%, I'm going late. But in seasonal or lineup leagues, it's more dependent on how it's shaken throughout the draft.
Yeah, that makes sense. Theo, you took Sam Laporta after starting Tyreek and Jordan Love. Is it? I mean, I guess you play the most FFPC out of all of us. I play a little bit over on some of the other platforms. Is this just seem like too good of a value here, or is there any merit to what you think I said about the tight ends get pushed up too much?
Well, I think in this sort of 20-man format, 20 round, taking Laporta, it takes the pressure off of me to have to take multiple tight ends. So you can do it both ways, but in a best ball format with the tight end premium, like Laporta does give me an edge. I think you could make a case that he should have gone in the second round. Right. Any way you cut it, the guy had 120 plus targets as a rookie, finished tight end 1, and I get him in the third round after getting a foundational wide receiver and a foundational quarterback. I considered Drake London. I considered my guy, Devon Achane. So, like, all three of them went in a row there. So it would have been London or Laporta based on the positional requirements here.
Cody took Derrick Henry. Cody, I almost took him instead of Jonathan Taylor. I was in a $300 home league the other day, and I took Henry over Taylor, so I figured this way I would just do it the other way. I really don't have an opinion on which one's better.
I'm going to be honest with you. I just immediately regretted that because I forgot that Adam already had 2 running backs. And Dwain already has a running back, so they're both going to need quarterback. And Adam doesn't go quarterback. He goes Puka, which you can have it. And Neighbors, there's no way I get a quarterback out of this deal.
I don't know. I think they might push
it
around, Cody.
Yeah, no, these
happen.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you're good to go here. I thought Derrick Henry was
me up, doggy.
Yeah.
How high are you on after you make your selection, Cody? My question is, how high are you on the big dog? Billy Muzio has him as a top 5 scorer at the running back position.
Top 4 for me.
Yeah, so he's still a little bit polarizing, because I'll say this, like, you get ETN there, really nice value. I have ETN ahead of Derrick Henry in my rankings. Just curious, how high do you think that Derrick Henry finishes at the position? You can give a range here. You don't have to say he's my RB2 or something. Is top 5 for you at the running back spot? Like, where are you on him?
I saw ETN. Oh, you said Henry. Sorry. I like Henry. I actually kind of like ETN a little bit better. I'm using Alex's Superflex Ultimate Draft cheat sheet, like I said, and I'm not going to bastardize it. So he's got Henry 1 spot ahead of ETN. Where I think Henry can finish in totality, we have him at running back 7 right now. ETN at running back 8. I think Henry has probably right where he's going as far as where I think he's probably going to finish. I'm not sure we're going to get the possibility of a 20 touchdown season or a 16, 17, 18, 19 touchdown season. Like, we got those opportunities in Tennessee because of obviously Lamar Jackson, but I do think the big dog is going to be the lean here. Like, as long as he's healthy, I trust this offensive line that we have rated as a top 12 offensive line in football. I trust this team to be winning games at a higher rate than they were in Tennessee, even when they were running the football with him. So I would say top 8, probably top 8. ETN, to be honest with you, when you're asking me straight up, again, like I said, I'm using Alex's sheet right now, but honestly, I saw Travis Etienne in person in Jacksonville training camp a couple weeks ago against Tampa. I feel really, really good about Travis Etienne. I think he's a guy that's going to, have north of 80 targets and get peppered in the PPR game, and they love him. And Tank Bigsby, as much as I love him as a prospect, is kind of a donk. So,
well, can I ask you about that? About why haven't, because coming out of college, everyone was saying Lawrence, the ETN pass catching was going to be like 100 catches his rookie year. Why hasn't it happened yet?
Well, I'll take that back a step. I think that like year 1, they were not as comfortable with him in the role, but last year we saw him take a massive step forward as a receiver.
Correct.
And that last year was de facto year 2 for him.
Right. It was the Urban Meyer year.
Yeah.
Too,
So
right, yeah.
I think that like this is a year, essentially his 3rd year. And now they have 2 new wide receivers. I think I love Brian Thomas, but I think that this is going to be potential for Travis Etienne to get leaned on a little bit. I'm totally with Cody. Like, I have him ahead of Barkley and Taylor. That was sort of my late flag plan. I think he outscores both of them.
Barkley and Taylor. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm on ETN.
I do think that they're pretty sick values. Like in your general leagues, like last night we did a mock, and I was on the show with Seth and Matt Babbage, and we did a mock with a bunch of actual people, and I got Taylor and Barkley at the 1-2 turn, and I love that personally. Like I think you're getting two players that should be going, probably 5-6. You're getting them at, 12 and 201. So, but I also kind of am in line with you, Theo. I kind of think Travis Etienne has the ability, and if you're going to put a percentage on it, I think it's, higher than 50% chance that he outscores those guys.
And I'll give a shout out to Matt Babbage. Matt Babbage is going to take over our Start Sit column, which is one of our most read articles all season long right here at Player Profiler. So big shout out to Matt Babbage.
Are you retiring from that game or what?
No, I do the waiver wire, and I'm doing the sleepers. I did those the last 2 years, and then I'll do a couple of one-off pieces.
Wait, you said Start Sit? I think he said that, didn't he?
Sit? He's doing that, which has always been a
waiver wire. That's waiver wire was the best column though, right?
Yeah, but I get Cody. Come on, Matt. I get number one, but Matt Babbage will be Matt Babbage will be. I'm pigeonholing him for top 3. So Matt Babbage, I'm projecting you to finish top 3 in terms of most viewed articles this year with your Start Sit advice. So. Big shout out to Matt Babbage, who's always been a great writer at Player Profiler.
Doesn't waiver wire have especially early on, the advantage because everyone wants to know who to pick up?
Of course it does, Alan.
Okay.
Of course it does. But it's also a high, shout out to all the writers out there. Not to get too off topic, but if you write waiver wire, you are under the gun. You don't have any wiggle room for turning it in late. It's a challenging article to write. I just can't seem to give it up. I'm like a glutton for it.
You think so? I feel like that it's you just sort by. I mean, yes, the analysis is the hard part.
The analysis. People hold
right.
your feet to the fire if you give them bad advice on that, Alan.
Right, but
you're taking people's money on that.
You just sort by last week's, production, and then you just kind of go from there, right? It's easier than baseball or basketball. And I'm not saying it's easy to write, but it's easy to figure out who the players are.
Here's the real question, Theo, and I'm not even going to lie to you. Be honest with you, I haven't read it. I don't really consume much of any content, and I think I don't know. I listen to a lot of stuff, but I don't consume anything.
What does that
makes
mean?
Any sense?
That doesn't make any sense.
I consume a lot here, but I don't consume anything visually. I do stuff visually. You guys do stuff visually, but I don't consume anything visually. Everything's in my ears, right? So I haven't seen, like I said, the number one article in Player Profiler's history. Even when I was there, I knew this Theo's article was the best. I've never read it. My question for you is your building of the sheet. When you build your waiver wire, this is how I do it, is I have a list of guys that pop up right in week 1. And I know you're coming up on the clock, so you can answer this maybe now or later. But when you are building this sheet, do you start with okay, I got these 12 names of week 1. Do you just add names to the bottom of that list and then X them out as their ownership percentage goes? Or do you have a new group of guys every single week?
So I will have pretty much a new group of guys. There'll be some repeats, but I usually go with Yahoo percentage. And if you own a large fantasy football company and you want us to feature your waiver wire percentage, your rostership percentage, we'd be happy to do so at Player Profiler. But I always use Yahoo because that's
what's the percentage you use, Theo?
So 25% for me, but then I'll list a couple of guys who are available in shallow
50,
leagues.
Yeah, 50%.
But I don't like writing for that. People like reading them, and no disrespect to shallow league players out there, but I like writing about players that will actually help most people. And I feel if you're in a league that's super shallow, you don't really need advice. You're just picking up that guy who's available in 51% of the ESPN leagues or something like that.
Right. Like Jerome Ford will be a week 1 waiver wire in those type of leagues.
So I am OTC here, guys, and my queue got decimated.
Who did you have?
I would have liked to have Tua come back to me. For me at this spot, I'm sort of open. I don't necessarily see an edge at the quarterback position right here. There's a couple of quarterbacks that are interesting. Do I play with fire here is the question, guys. And do I go with another wide receiver? I think I do.
Fire. Oh, real man always plays with fire. Swings for the fences.
I think I play with some fire here.
Yeah. There's only one winner in this thing. There's not a regular 16 playoff thing,
I'm going to go with my guy. I'm going Devonta Smith.
God damn it.
I'm going to snipe you on that, Cody. You play around. You let me get Devonta Smith here at the 507. So,
yeah.
Guys,
I would have taken Smith ahead of Nico, who went the pick before that. I would have taken Smith above Devontae Adams and me probably even above Debo. So I thought that's a good pick there.
Yeah. And the wide receiver heavy format here, I like what I've done. Just to give a recap, let's recap our teams, guys. So Cody's about to be OTC Allen had Patrick Mahomes in the first, Garrett Wilson in the second, Jonathan Taylor in the third, Rashee Rice for the correlation in the fourth. Great pick there. George Kittle in the fifth. I started out with Tyreek Hill, Jordan Love, Sam Laporta, and then I've gone bang wide receivers of Chris Olave and Devonta Smith. Cody Carpentier went with Anthony Richardson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derrick Henry, and Travis Etienne. And Cody is OTC. You want to talk it out here, big dog?
I want to know what the damn rules are here. We got one flex, two flex.
No. 2 flexes, 3 wide receivers, and a super flex. So you could essentially start 5 wide receivers if you wanted to, Cody, or you could start 3 tight ends, or you could start 4 running backs. Those 2 flexes are up in play here.
Yeah, it's 3 receivers, 2 flex plus the super flex.
Yeah. There you go. Cody takes Matt Stafford, gets his QB2.
I almost took him at my pick, so
yeah,
I would have taken him, and I would have taken Stafford ahead of Tua also. I mean, I know that's not the ADP, and you don't need to, but I love Stafford this year. Again, for the same reason, we're taking both of the receivers in the first 2 rounds, you know?
Yeah, Stafford's a nice value here.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
I bastardized the sheet a little bit because I know Alex he had Kirk and Herbert ahead of him, but I like Stafford in that passing game. I also saw Adam coming with Puka, and I don't know.
He would have taken him. He would have taken him.
Yeah, I feel better about Stafford than I do Kirk.
Yep.
I don't like that. Both guys are banged up. I guess their histories are banged up.
Stafford is not getting benched for any reason. You cannot say that about Kirk Cousins. Like, if he has 2-3 bad games, wait till you hear what the crowd starts doing in Atlanta. I'm telling you, there is going to be a tidal wave of pressure to see Penix if things don't go great.
I feel disgusting about this running back group.
Nobody's going to be chanting for Jimmy Garoppolo to take over for Stafford, you know? So there's 0 benching risk, and I think that matters when you can't make pickups, Cody.
100%. Like, that's there's a worry about Stafford's back, but like in totality, I'm not really worried about it. Like,
he didn't miss a game last year.
I know that's not going to be my last quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go into the season with 2 quarterbacks. Last year I drafted 3 in the first 3 rounds because I was a jackass, but like, you need to have multiple quarterbacks in this format. I actually got donked last year because I had Richardson and Cousins and Dak. And Richardson gets hurt, then Cousin gets hurt. Like, it was quarterback injuries were like insane last year. 60-something quarterback. Hey, and by the way, Theo, I love the pick of Justin Herbert, a little bit underrated. And Cody, you made a great pick, Josh Jacobs, who's looking like, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the RB1 overall this year.
I would be surprised if he was the RB1 overall this year.
He's done it already.
You're going to get off to a fast start with Josh Jacobs because Marshawn Lloyd, I think, will miss like 2 weeks, but Matt LaFleur does not usually give a running back enough usage to finish RB1. Like, it's always somewhat of a split. Even those Aaron Jones teams, you always see A.J. Dillon mixing in. And I think Marshawn Lloyd, guys, I talked about him as a sleeper today. I dropped a video. It's funny, Marshawn Lloyd, like Cody, we talked about him a lot in the rookie process. Should we talk about how he commuted from Delaware all the way to DeMatha, or are you tired of that story? I'm not going to do it on this. We've only talked about that story about 1,000 times.
I was going to say, well, on YouTube right now, they started doing this thing where you can actually pull up the what do they call that? The words will roll. Gosh, I can't believe
captions.
No, so if you go to the under transcript, you can pull up the transcript on the side of all these shows, and I would bet cash money that you could go back to every show Theo was on between January and April, and you could go pull up the transcript and you could Control F Lloyd, and I bet you it pops up at least 2 times in each show. But no, I think it's a great story. So I'll let you tell it. But
I don't want to tell it. I don't want to tell it anymore. Now you made me feel bad, Cody. But
it's all love. I'm just teasing.
No, 100%. Marshawn Lloyd, though, I think is like the market hasn't adjusted to the fact that Marshawn Lloyd is going to be back in the relatively near future. But Josh Jacobs, the guy, it's weird though, Alan, like Josh Jacobs is 26, but he came in the league when he was 20.
Yeah.
The guy's got a ton of tread on the tires and he's on a new team.
Well,
I'm not saying he's going to break down.
Yeah.
But if he does, Marshawn Lloyd in that offense, you're ranking him as a top 15 running back any week that Josh Jacobs is out.
And that contract with Jacobs, though, it's a 1-year rental. Like I remember when I was 25 years old and I would rent a car, no regard for that thing. That's basically how they're going to be treating Jacobs.
Are we talking about the same Josh? Like, you guys think Josh Jacobs is Dunsky or what?
No. I think he can be the RB1 overall. Is what I'm saying.
No, like Cody, like Billy has him RB10. I have him a little lower. Josh Larkey's crazy high on him. I've heard some other sharp people, not from Player Profiler, that are high on Josh Jacobs. I'm just not there. Like I'm on Jordan Love. I think that it's worth taking shots on the Green Bay pass catchers, but you're gonna see a spike in a couple of these late drafts of like where you're seeing Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is your classic. Like if the dead zone was earlier this year, like people would not get as excited. The only good thing about Josh Jacobs is the running backs are so pushed down in ADP. Like, I don't know. I just don't see it. It's year one in Green Bay. Is he just going to go nuts?
Yes.
So you're about to be on the clock. I want to ask you about a running back that is available right now, but I want to finish this Josh Jacobs thing first and foremost. I'm going to tie two lines, and I just want to get your direct thoughts, both of you guys. Green Bay hasn't been able to beat San Francisco for the last decade in the playoffs with Rodgers. So they get rid of Rodgers, not because of that, but just naturally it happens. They have Jordan Love, who's a young quarterback and paid handsomely. San Francisco, the way they built their team was intentional to have Trey Lance run this offense, a guy that's ability to run is up there with the best of them. His passing game, not so much. They didn't have time to let him sit, so they forced him out there. He sucked. So they fell into Brock Purdy, but the goal was to have Lance. Green Bay got to hold Love, bench him for a couple years, and then run him out there. You can tie the line. Again, LaFleur has connections with Shanahan. The running back room, McCaffrey, a guy that they brought over from Carolina, paid him. Boom. In the middle of his career, you've already seen him excel at a high level. Josh Jacobs, not quite the highest level, but pretty high level for Jacobs. So he comes into Green Bay. You can tie that line. In the tight end room, you got George Kittle, a yak monster in college, a little more prolific in college, I'd say, than Luke Musgrave, but Luke Musgrave, yak monster in college, you tie it in there. They also have a better backup in Tucker Kraft than they do in San Francisco. The offensive line, the one error that they're missing here is that they lost Bakhtiari. That would make this Green Bay offensive line probably top 7 in the NFL right now. San Fran has the Trent Williams. That's the one thing I would say that's different about this team. But the receiver room, I would say Green Bay's is even better than that. They have their Deebo Samuel and Jaden Reed. They have their Brendan Ayuk and Romeo Doubs. And they have better guys behind him in Christian Watson and Dontavian Wicks, where San Francisco wishes they had Christian Watson and Dontavian Wicks. They've been trying to do that with Danny Gray. They've been trying to do it with Jawan Jennings, Ronnie Bell. It's been failure after failure after failure. I think this Green Bay team is better than San Francisco top to bottom. I think this Green Bay team has more talent. And I think Josh Jacobs is on the cusp of a McCaffrey-type season.
Yeah.
Or you could just, I'll take everything you said, and I'll say bet Jordan Love to win the MVP. Because Cody Carpentier has them going to win the Super Bowl. And Cody, they maybe should have I think if they were an older team that had kind of been there before, then maybe they beat San Francisco in that game. But it's sort of like you've got to lose before you move forward. I think like maybe I'm discounting Josh Jacobs. It's just in this format, like where he goes, it's not necessarily as much of a decision. I just find myself, and maybe it's because I'm always tending to go wide receiver, but when I'm in one of these like FFPC or NFFC leagues, and it's like the time I need to take Jacobs, I'm usually taking a really high-end option at like a wide receiver position before it dries up.
I don't know. I agree that the board falls that way, but in Superflex, all bets are off, man, because you never know where people are going to take the quarterbacks. And just artificially, Theo, Jacobs in the 6th round, which isn't really the 6th round, it's more like the 4th, right? Which is the normal ADP, feels like a deal, right?
I'll say that Biplap Mandel, if you listen in on this one, I've drafted teams with Bip. He's not excited about using that pick right there on Dallas Goedert. That's a structural pick, guys. That's not hey, I'm excited to take Dallas Goedert. It's, hey, I don't want to get jammed at tight end. I'll say David Njoku, great value. He usually goes a little closer to Brock Bowers in these drafts.
You don't see the star next to team 5.
Reno and but he loaded in his queue though. I don't think it's a true I don't think it was a true like auto. He just got lucky. I think
you don't think Geno was an auto pick in round 6 by him.
Yeah, Geno was an auto.
That does not look like
maybe I'm well. I still like the value on David Njoku. I've targeted him quite a great deal.
What do you guys make of Rashad White?
Oh, I love Rachaad White. I mean, he always falls in these drafts, but
he always falls. I mean, I don't know. I do think like Bucky
What the
Irving is going
hell?
to be Bucky Irving. I think might be annoying for Rachaad White's ceiling, but I think right now he makes sense. You don't think
No.
so? I think Bucky's going to catch some balls out there.
Ceiling. He was the
I
RB.
promise you.
He was the RB3 last year, Rachaad White. And I know, and you could say, "Oh, Dave Canales." Come on,
I got
all of a sudden you're going to forget how to throw to him.
I got more Rachaad White in Dynasty than anybody you guys know. But I've made sure that on almost every single Rachaad White Dynasty team I have a little bit of Bucky Irving back there as my handcuff.
I'm telling you, Theo, Bucky Irving's nice. Bucky Irving doesn't got shit on Rachaad White. I was at the camp, and Rachaad White was 214 pounds coming out of college. I loved Rachaad White. I comped him to Le'Veon Bell, but he was light. He was he was 214 pounds. He was a slender guy, you know, borderline. You call him like an X receiver, like a Tyron Tracy type or an Antonio Gibson type. He was that upright and that patience. Golly, they took Jackson's. I mean, you're really gonna make me do this right now? All right, I'm doing it. So my point is, this is his backfield purely. This is an 80-20. This is a 75-25.
Oh yeah.
Split in Tampa Bay. I promise. Rachaad White is every bit 223, 224 pounds, and it's his backfield. You're going to see more Sean Tucker than I think you think in the split behind him. Sean Tucker's got some electricity out of the backfield as well. Bucky Irving is really, really puny. He's also got flat feet, which is kind of a weird thing, but it's like it's a little different running style. Cody. This offensive line's really good and young, but I'm telling you right now, this is I thought J.S. Jacobs was a good value. This is just a disgusting value, and I might be done drafting running backs.
Before there was ADP, like when we were drafting best ball teams in like February, I was taking Rachaad White in the second round. Obviously, that proved to be like a way big time reach, but when there's no ADP, when you're just drafting, like that's where I thought of him as like the 212, 211, 231. I was like, oh, what a steal. Obviously, bad pick now, but I think very highly of Rachaad White. Again, he's already done it, right? He's already done it. And then the big excuse that everyone says is that Dave Canales is gone. So I just don't understand why that means like the whole offense would change completely, and they would not they would look at the tape last year and say, okay, this worked, let's do it again.
Can I just ask you one question though, Cody?
Bring it.
Getting off subject, guys. How exciting are my Tank Dell, Xavier Worthy back-to-back picks right here in a best ball format?
I almost took Worthy with my last pick in round 6.
You get some goosebumps off that, guys. Not a whole lot of BMI there, Cody, but a lot of electricity.
Pretty sexy, but I think you're going to have fun drafting some real donks at running back here in the next couple of rounds.
Well, I have no running backs, and we're about to enter round 9. Cody Carpentier has 4.
Yeah.
And Alan Seslowsky has 1. Best ball format. So it's, there's still some RBs that are still on the board here. But I'll say this for wide receiver, I'm very pleased with Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, Tank Dell, and Xavier Worthy start with Sam Laporta, Jordan Love, and Justin Herbert. And Cody, I hope you're absolutely correct on Rachaad White, because I have bags and bags of them. I think I'm a little bit higher on Bucky than you are. I think this coaching staff, and I'll say this, Tampa Bay had the least amount of vacated targets of any team in football, and they had Jalen McMillan, who's awesome. I mean, he's awesome. You love Jalen McMillan. You don't think he's ready?
He's not ready. Trey Palmer splitting reps, and Trey Palmer, I'm a Trey Palmer homer, and I think McMillan's better than him, but McMillan's not. He hasn't pulled away. He hadn't pulled away last week anyway. From Palmer. I think he's going to, but he's not ready to actually compete with the big dogs as far as Godwin and Evans go. Like, he's not ready. He's not even near being in a trio with these guys. It's still pretty clearly those two. So like his best ball, you bring up best ball, like
Tampa's added some nice pieces. I got to say, Bucky, Jalen McMillan, those are nice draft picks. They added offensive linemen. I like Tampa Bay in that division.
I like that.
Alan Seslowsky takes James Cook.
Not a great pick, but next.
Who's the 9 guy? Snake? Who's that? Do you know who that is?
I will look right now on the. I'm not sure who Snake is.
Dude, what do you think of this Justin Fields stuff? Because that's his QB3, and again, went to that camp. Fields still is not good.
You know what he is, Cody? It's like Justin
He's going to
Fields
have rushing up. He's going to run.
You know what it is? He's going to be Taysom Hill, right? Like, they're going to get the ball down to the 5, and oh wait, Russell Wilson's jogging out. In comes Justin Fields.
Bingo.
Like, you're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff.
Bingo. They ran that at practice, and it was kind of a sick trio. There was Cordero had just got back to practice when I was there, and they ran this backfield with 3 guys lined up at shotgun, and it was Fields with Cordero and Najee. And in that lineup, like, what is your brain doing as a defense? Like, your brain's like, all right, so we either got like an inside zone to Najee, we got Fields could pull it, we got a possible option here, we got a possible handoff to Cordero, and then we got somebody going to the flat. Like, there's like 13 different options.
Yeah.
Having those 3 guys lined up in the backfield. Like, I think Fields has 7-8 rushing touchdowns in him, but what are you doing? You can't draft him in the 8th round.
Fields, well, you're hoping for the Russ injury there. I mean, that's the only thing. Or it's like, can the software start giving Justin Fields tight end eligibility? He'll really be Taysom Hill.
Oh my God.
I took Watson, guys, in like the beginning of the 7th. I'm still in that Watson could be like, an 18-point per game player. It seems like people are just completely out. Like, he just goes so low and undrafted in single quarterback. Can you, Theo, just tell me what the bull case is for Watson? Like, how does he end up being like QB 12 on the year?
Well, I think that I'll say one thing that I think is a positive was I know they're bringing Deonta Foreman back, but the fact that they're going with Pierre Strong and Jerome Ford to start the year, I think indicates to me that offense is going to be a little bit more aggressive. I think Ken Dorsey has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, a chance to, and people in the comments always hate this when I point this out because there's so many Ken Dorsey haters out there. But I think that this offense is going to be more pass happy this year. I think that they added Judy, they paid a lot for him. David Njoku came on in the second half of the year, and I think it's hard to get away from Njoku. And then they still got Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's like this offense, I think, is going to be a little bit more aggressive and a little more pass happy early on in the year. We'll see if it works. But
Cody, you got to go for another running back.
Deshaun Watson also has that scrambling ability. So he gives you a little bit of rushing upside there too. So
he wasn't bad before he got hurt either, Theo, right? I mean, I took Watson there knowing because the other 2 guys ahead of me already have their 2 quarterbacks, and I took Amari Cooper again for a contest like this. It's fun to have a pairing. So I have the Watson Cooper pairing, I have the Mahomes Rice pairing, all hopefully in my starting lineup. Cody, so you went Jamison Williams there. I again thought about him where I took Alvin Kamara. I just wanted to make sure I got running backs that I don't hate. JMO, would you say he's the most polarizing guy of the offseason?
Yes, 100%. And I also just added Brian Thomas to my queue, and he just got picked as soon as I put him in the queue, which is cool because I wanted to double tap those guys. If you could have seen what I was building, there was an Amon-Ra Jameson, a Kirk, and a Brian Thomas, and it just failed on me thanks to Dwain. So shout out to Dwain.
Shout out to Dwain, who has Bryce Young and Minshew as his dynamic duo.
The dynamic duo. Now I got to pivot here, but yeah, I think 100% he's the 1 second here.
So Theo, right? Like I've seen Dwain's strategy before in the Superflex leagues. To me, it never works out where you just ignore quarterback. He's got now Bryce Young and Gardner Minshew, and I don't think he's going to get really anything else. He's probably praying that Sam Darnold comes back to him.
Sam Darnold, I believe, was selected.
Oh, he's got. So there you go.
Dan Williamson is bullish on Darnold. Let's say like the one argument with Darnold is in that system last year we saw Nick Mullins put up a near 400 burger. If interceptions were not allowed in the NFL and defenders had to pat the ball down, Cody, Nick Mullins could have been a thing in fantasy last year, but of course it only lasted a game or two. And Josh Dobbs put up big numbers. So I'm not saying Darnold's going to be anything special, but if any coaching staff's going to get something out of him, I think it's that Minnesota coaching staff has shown that they can get production out of multiple quarterbacks.
Doesn't hurt that they have probably the best top 3 wide receiver in the league, right?
100%.
And Aaron Jones probably will give him some yardage after the catch, right? Like Aaron Jones is a little sneaky pass catcher, right? Like he's always fun to own. I know, like for some reason the draft market hates him. They think he's going to be old. He's just old. But I kind of like him in Minnesota. When he went there, I was like, oh, okay, I'm back in on Aaron Jones.
I'm going to make a very gross pick here, guys, because I've gotten boxed out at quarterback so much that I'm going to take a shot on Russell Wilson, the last starter on the board. I don't love this one, but I've had conversations with Cody with Billy Muzio. Like there's Andrew Cooper, people that I respect think that he's going to hold this job. And, at the end of the day, I'm getting him at quarterback 33. I'm not even paying a starter price. It's a couple rounds earlier. We've got a very quarterback. Dwain, I'll tell you another thing Dwain did probably. Dwain probably watched last night's stream, probably saw the board. There's been a couple of these deep end invitationals so far, and he saw that a lot of people were pushing quarterbacks down. This is by far the most quarterback heavy first 10 rounds that I've seen in this invitational. Usually you can get guys like Bryce falling to 11th, 12th round. Bo Nix, I was going to take Bo Nix. Bo Nix was going 11th round in last night's draft, and he goes in the 8th round tonight.
Yeah, there's no usual in Superflex. Every market is completely different, just depending on the maniacs that are in the league. I mean, this is how I Superflex. I Superflex where you take Matt Stafford in the 5th round. You're pumped now, right, Cody? That you were thinking when you took Matt Stafford in the 5th round, it was a bad pick, but now you're like, I'm kind of pumped.
Yeah, because I debated waiting, and I'm in an odd spot right now. I obviously want to get a 3rd, but I'm just like, we'll see what happens. Like, I was eyeballing Russ. Actually, you know who I wanted to take right there, and I'm kind of like sitting here crying over inside is I thought Romeo might have fallen to me in the 11th, but and I kind of want to take him over Hopkins, but I like the Stafford pick now after I'm sitting here staring at it. So.
I'm telling you, he is the most even in single QB. If you want to ignore the position to round 15, Theo, in single quarterback,
I think Matt Stafford, when I've gotten in trouble this year, I've waited and taken Matt Stafford. I agree. I think he's sort of an arbitrage on some of these high-end QB2s that people are pushing up. And the fact that he's got a healthy Cooper Kupp out there, we've seen what those two guys can do. We saw also Matt Stafford at the end of last year had back-to-back 300-yard games, played really well in that Detroit loss in the playoffs. I think Stafford has another big season in the range of outcomes. Maybe gives you a quarterback 10 season.
Cody, and wasn't Kyron a big pass catcher in college at Notre Dame?
Correct. Okay. Big. That was a big thing on his. Well, it was a big thing on his resume, and then he ran that 4.6 or 4.7 or whatever it was, and then people kind of forgot about it. But I think he had a year with 40. God, Lee, was it 51 receptions or was it 48? I can't remember.
So, guys, why don't you, Alan? Why don't you recap your team real quick for the listeners on the podcast?
I'm picking next, so I'll do it after Cody.
Okay, so Cody, you want to recap your team?
Sure. Let me look at it quick. I don't exactly have a board up. Let me pull my board up.
Oh, so I can roll back up.
No, you good, doggy. Best for the video viewing audience. So Richardson, like I said, I didn't really want to take Richardson, but if you're going to gift him to me at the quarterback 8, I guess I'll do it at the 110. And then at the 203, I was kind of praying Bijan was going to fall to me, but now after the running backs fell the way they did, I'm happy I got him on. Ross St. Brown. I got Derrick Henry running back 8, probably right where he belongs. I think I favor ETN, so I'm glad ETN made it back to me. I think that's a strong duo. We just talked about Matthew Stafford. I think Kupp is a better play this year than is Nakua, so I'm happy to see Kupp now at the 4.5 and Nakua at the 3.11. They're kind of coming closer together. They should, pass in the night, probably next Wednesday, next Thursday night, when people are drafting in the real leagues. And then Josh Jacobs to 6.3 again. We talked about that guy running back 12. You'd be an idiot not to debate this guy as potentially being a top 3 running back this year. Christian Kirk.
He's done it already, Cody, right? I mean, on a crappy Raiders team, he did it.
Bingo. And this is a much better, like we talked about earlier, much better roster overall and team in Green Bay. Christian Kirk, going to be the target leader in Jacksonville. Gabe Davis going to get some work underneath, but Evan Ingram's not touching 143 targets, top 12, actually 12th all-time among tight ends. He's not touching that again this year. Christian Kirk's going to be the target leader. Rashad White, bell cow, 80-20, 75-25 in this Tampa Bay offense that we like. Running back 15 off the board. If you're going to just keep giving me value, I'll take it. And then JMO and DeAndre Hopkins here to finish it out through 10 rounds. Jameson, everybody knows if you've been on X, you've seen the clips. You've heard everything positive from Brad Holmes, from Dan Campbell over the course of the last 18 months. It was negative the 2023 NFL Combine. We asked him questions about Jameis, and he's like, man, this guy needs to show me something. He needs to do something. This year was a whole different vibe. All summer they've been asking him questions. Well, sure, shout out to the Detroit media for actually asking those questions, because generally these teams and these reporters from teams are a bunch of cowards and they don't ask questions about fantasy relevant guys. They've done it with Jameson, and they propelled him not too high, because he's still, you're still getting him in pretty good value, running back or wide receiver 43. And then D Hop, you're getting a little bit of an injury discount here, running back or wide receiver 45 for the only player in Tennessee that he had the best connection with Will Levis last year. So I like where I'm at, and I'm just going to keep on pissing yellow and finish this thing out.
Yeah, I'll quickly run through my team while Theo's picking. Started at pick 3, Patrick Mahomes, Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor. I thought I reached a little on Rashee Rice here, but obviously that's the pair of Patrick Mahomes. George Kittle, I know it's like kind of like a joke to say batter in best ball, but I'm only going to get the boom weeks. And when I get a couple other tight ends at the end, that'll fill it in right there. George Kittle, one of the very few guys that could actually at the tight end can win you a week by himself. So that's what I like there. Then I went with the Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson stack. Never feels good to take Watson, but in a super flex, I think he's a good QB2. And then, running backs got pushed down the board. James Cook, who I've drafted in exactly 0 drafts, should be okay. Alvin Kamara, who nobody likes because he's old, and 10 touchdowns in the last 28 games. I'm just banking on the PPR stuff, and when Taysom Hill comes in and steals all the work. I told you already, I love Aaron Jones in this spot on a 1-year rental. And then Hollywood Brown, who's still hurt, might miss a game or two. Don't need him in my starting lineup, but obviously that's a pairing up with Patrick Mahomes as well. So I have like a little mini stack with Hollywood, Rice, and Patrick Mahomes. And the funny thing is, Rice and Hollywood Brown, those ADPs were flipped in February.
I'm going to dedicate this pick to Cody Carpentier, and I'm going to break the running back and I'm going to take Najee Harris.
Nice pick.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not the biggest
Great
Najee
pick.
guy, but that's a good value here in the 11th round.
Great pick. Not a good pick. Great pick.
Get a little correlation, Pittsburgh correlation there with Russ and Najee.
Yep.
Got
hey
the
guys,
Arthur Smith revenge game, guys. Opening up the season.
The pick before you, Theo, was Palmer.
Bullshit.
You like Palmer then? Good, because I thought that that's like he's a true sleeper in the sense of like not with people that are like eat, living, and breathing this stuff, but like he's gonna go undrafted in home leagues, or he's gonna go like in the last round. And when's the last time you saw like the projected wide receiver 1 on a team go in double-digit rounds? It almost never happens.
Yeah, you can make a case that he should be flipped with McConkey because of the familiarity. I took the upside case in a tournament, but I do think that Palmer is a safe bet to get 100 targets, even with a low volume passing attack. And I'll say this, Cody, I wonder what you think about this one. Like, I think like it's the philosophical where, I think that this LA coaching staff with Roman and Harbaugh really want to just pound the rock and run the ball as much as possible. I don't know if they have the horses to do that. I think they're going to have to pass a little bit more than maybe they would like in year 1. I think that there's a chance that McConkey and also Palmer both beat their expectations. There's really nothing at the tight end position in terms of a target earner. There's not a running back who you're going to say like Dobbins can get some targets out of the backfield when he's healthy and all that. But at the end of the day, it's like those two guys are going to have to see targets.
Yeah, for a team that wants to run a lot, the running back room is like the second worst or least desirable in the NFL after Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cody's thinking hard right now. And by the way, I like his DeAndre Hopkins pick in the last. I've been taking a lot of Hopkins in the higher stakes stuff I've been doing recently. Nobody wants Hopkins, right? But when you look back, I would probably want Hopkins over Ridley. Like I would make that bet with somebody who's going to have more receptions, yards, fantasy points, and they obviously the market does not agree. Ridley went in round 8, Hopkins in round 10. All right, the Jonathan Brooks pick here from Team 11. I already know what side Theo is going to be on it. What do you think about this pick in fantasy? The ACL in the same year. We already know it's 4 weeks are off the board here. So after your pick, Cody, give me the Brooks take here because he's a name that I just cross him off my list in fantasy leagues for this year. Next year, I'm going to want a lot of Brooks.
I mean, Alan, but I don't mean to interrupt you, Cody,
No.
but at the end of the day, like you just said it, you're getting him here at a range where could it be a burnt pick? Could it be a dead pick?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But again, it's a tournament setting and you're swinging for upside. There's a chance that over the last 6 weeks of the season, we see Jonathan Brooks looking like Jonathan Brooks. And I think there's a chance that Jonathan Brooks is like a guy we're taking at the 2-3 turn and redraft next year based on how he looks at the end of the season. So,
but look at Mostert went the pick after him, right? Like, what do you hope that Jonathan Brooks returns value-wise? Raheem Mostert's production? You could have just gotten it.
It's a weekly bet with him where you're looking at it at terms of he could catch a lot of passes. I don't know. I think I'm going to be bullish on him. Like,
yeah, you're not alone.
Your build has to support it. That's the one thing about Jonathan Brooks is if Jonathan Brooks is part of your draft plan, then you need to go into a draft saying, I'm going to draft a few extra running backs, maybe take another round running back inside of the first 6-7 rounds so I can support Jonathan Brooks. And then I also really want to overvalue probably Chuba Hubbard, who's going in a decent range these days.
Good call.
And kind of have a bridge. Jerome Ford would be a nice bridge. There's a couple of these guys. Raheem Mostert.
The Mr. Septembers, right? All the Mr. Septembers. Yep.
Devin Singletary, a guy to get you through until you get Jonathan Brooks. But Chuba's kind of a safe way to do it because it's sort of a double bet, and maybe Chuba just holds it, and you end up with at least something out of a Dave Canales-led offense.
Right. But the first 4 weeks are scratched off, right? And then week 5, let's say he's ready to return. That's a ramp up week. And then what if it's not a great week? And then week 6, you're like, well, I guess that's more in a lineup setting week. You're not even going to be able to and then when's their bye? I mean, let's see, their bye is it's in week 11. So I'm just saying it's like, you're going to be Halloween before you even know if you have someone, and then you're going to feel obligated to hold them because you held them so long. And when you have I guess in this format, it does make more sense to me how you explained it. But in a league where you have 5-6 bench spots, I just always laugh every time someone takes him.
And I'll shout out to Biplap Mandel, who did that pick just to snipe me because he knew I was going to take Zamir White because it made so much sense for my build. And Bip just stuck it to me with that pick. So that was a great pick by Bip. Great snipe right there.
I like your Musgrave pick. I almost took him 2 rounds ago. I really like Musgrave.
It's correlation. I get a little correlation with Jordan Love. If you look at the board also, like every time Jaden Reed was coming up or Romeo Doubs was coming up or Christian Watson was coming up, I get sniped. The Jaden Reed one, he went 2 picks before I took Ladd McConkey, and then Romeo Doubs went 2 picks before I took Russell Wilson. So I haven't had an opportunity to get any sort of correlation with Jordan Love. So I was kind of able to do that right here.
Guys, I'm eyeballing in 2 picks away. I'm eyeballing Isaiah Likely. Do you think he could be anything is the more than just Mark Andrews backup? Can he be on the field as an actual 4 catch a week guy?
I had him in my Sleepers article and Sleepers video, and I'll be interested to hear what Cody has to say, but the Baltimore beat writers seem to think he could be the number 3 target on the team. Okay. Of course, Big Dog is going to take away a lot of volume. So what is the number 3 target in Baltimore worth? But I'll say this, like, if we just go with the rational coaching, like he had 3 weeks of like 18 points, 17 points in the last few weeks of the season last year, like 3 weeks out of 4 where he was giving you like essentially tight end 1, top 3 production at the tight end position. And he's sort of an overgrown, slow wide receiver. I mean that in a compliment. Yeah. He's not really like a true inline tight end. So for me, it's like if I'm rational coaching, and we all think Todd Monken is pretty smart, like it's Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews are going to be in the field a ton. Zay Flowers is going to get a lot of targets, and it's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry. Like that's going to be pretty consolidated. Now, does he get you enough targets as the number 3 target in that offense that he's like tight end 15? And he beats his ADP. I think it could happen. You pay tight end,
as long as he has like 4 weeks where he ends up in my lineup, like I think like I win right there because I'm going to have George Kittle. Hopefully those weeks don't overlap, or if they do, it's at least one of the flex spots. I'm not going to get boxed out of it. And the reason I said 4 catches because that doesn't seem like a lot. And remember, with the 1.5 PPR, that's an extra, it's an extra like 20 yards worth of points. So, I mean, he's not that much different than Luke Musgrave in a sense where like Luke Musgrave is what, like the 4th option, right?
Yeah. I mean, like Luke Musgrave, though, for me, the reason I would take him, I think for Musgrave, it's sort of like this offense, kind of the ambiguity at the wide receiver position. Maybe Musgrave becomes their red zone threat and a touchdown producer. Like Musgrave, Cody can talk volumes more about this because Cody, you put a lot of time into like evaluating that profile as a prospect. But this was a guy that you would say is a upper level athlete at the tight end position with the draft capital. Like he's the kind of profile tight end that you would root for and predict would have like a breakout. And I think you get him in sort of a range that it's not going to kill you. You're getting him as like a low end tight end too. So especially in this tight end premium, I think he could be helpful. Cody, what's your expectations for Musgrave this year?
Well, so I talked about at the beginning of the show, the range I want to be in is Freiermuth and Musgrave. Those are my two guys. And I got kind of donked on Freiermuth in the 9th. And I believe that is who got Freiermuth? That was Mason Spain. So Mason Spain, funny enough, shout out to this guy. I don't know. I never met him before. He was in my DMs today because I tweeted out, which is probably not the smartest thing to do when you're going to do a draft that people are going to be in, tweeting out your massive do not draft, massive must draft list. This guy literally DMs me and says, nice list. Going to be fun drafting against you tonight. Takes Freiermuth, takes Josh Palmer. I'm like, dog. Takes Jaden Daniels, like all the guys I listed on there. He's like, good luck. And I was like, all right,
well,
cool.
Cody, you have to decide at some point if you're going to be a content creator or a fantasy draft player, right? Like those things cannot coexist in the same world.
They absolutely can coexist, guys. It can coexist. Don't say that. I'm in some high stakes ones tomorrow night. But that's some elite trash talk by getting in your DMs like that, Cody. That was a big hat tip to Mason for going after Cody like that.
What I'm saying, you get a super fan like Cody has these super fans like that, and all of a sudden they just take your guys just to spite you. I mean, Theo, you experience the same thing. Guys want to draft you, and then they know who your guys are, and they don't even want those guys, but they want to take them so you can't get them.
I had somebody talk trash in a high stakes startup when they took Malik Neighbors like ahead of ADP, knowing that I wanted to take him. That was yeah. So I've experienced this for a while. I'm going to go swing for the fences here, guys. I'm going to go back to the running back well. Do I want to take him here? Yeah, I think I do want to take him here. I'm going to go with my guy. I'm going to go with this is a tournament pick here. Taking a little bit of Jalen Wright.
Yeah, I love it.
Devon Achane's my guy, but he's got two contingent upsides here for Jalen Wright here. Raheem Mostert goes down. I love this pick, and I really hope it doesn't happen. But if Devon Achane misses time, I love this pick.
Well, what's great about Wright is it only needs to be one play, right? And he can enter into your lineup as your flex too. Like, you know, he could have 4 carries in a game, and one of them could be a 40-yard touchdown. Like when you're watching Red Zone, and they're like, "All right, we're going to go to Miami here, where Jalen Wright just broke a 40-yard touchdown." And you're like, that doesn't surprise you. It's not like if Cordell Patterson breaks one and you're on tilt because the other running backs on Pittsburgh didn't get it. I mean, you totally expect Jalen Wright to have one of those long ones.
Absolutely.
Guys, a quick question for you. I took Rashid Shaheed in the last round. He had a little Q mark next to him, a red Q mark. Is he hurt?
You know, I don't think anything that would threaten him for week 1. At least I haven't seen anything recent. Cody, have you?
I have not.
I get nervous, when I see that red Q. It's really scary, but I was like, I didn't hear anything, so I'll just take him, And obviously, Shaheed is the cliche, better in best ball?
Absolutely.
Facts.
Yeah. Cody, colleague of mine says that he thinks it's not like a 50-50, and I just think that this is like crazy percentages, that Shaheed could be better in fantasy than Olave. I think obviously that's nuts. And
that's cockamamie.
But where are you at on Shaheed? Is he someone that could be?
Hold on a second. Hold on. You got to name him by name. Who at RotoWire is saying that Rashid Shaheed is going to be better than Olave?
He said that it's possible, and it was a former RotoWire, my former colleague Chris Liss.
Okay, so Chris Liss, I like Rashid Shaheed, but I'm not going anywhere near that.
I mean, they gave him the big bucks or the extension this year, right? I mean, in the offseason. Wide receiver 61. What do you think the percentages are, guys, that he could finish inside the top 30 at wide receiver?
I think he's going to be a wide receiver. He could be a wide receiver 3.
Okay,
I think that's sort of like the max upside. They need pass catchers there.
Yeah.
But Olave, guys, this is Olave's season this year. Chris Olave has already been a guy who gets a really high target share, gets an incredible amount of air yards, and now they're going to use him maybe a little bit more on some manufactured touches. Like Chris Olave is going to have a career year this year. Rashid Shaheed, though, has a chance to be the number 2 target there. A lot of his stuff is downfield spike week type. I don't think he has the consistent usage to finish as like a wide receiver 2 would be my takeaway. But I've drafted him. I'm happy to draft him.
This is the one format where consistency doesn't really mean anything, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point.
Yeah, right. The worst part about owning Shaheed in lineup is his best weeks come on your bench. You start in the following week, and then it doesn't work out.
So we are getting down to, you start seeing this point in the draft in a triflex format, there's no kickers and no defenses. So when you get down to this, like into kind of the weeds here,
Cody's asshole was tightening up a little bit. I saw
it starts getting a little bit shaky here.
Yeah, I saw Cody. I saw him start the sweat, the whole the ass ring got a little tight. I know what happened there. It was like you started hearing that you have 10 seconds.
Now I know what the show title is going to be, guys.
Asshole ring tightening.
Yeah, something about Cody's asshole or something.
Oh boy.
I mean, that should be every show title should be
the sponsors will love that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting down to it, guys. I'll say this is like you start seeing running back and wide receiver dry up. When we start talking about tight ends, you're already down kind of into the weeds here. The low end tight end 2s, you start seeing the tight end 3s go off the board. Quarterback, you will see some QB 2s go off the board. I'm going to go with a little discount. I think this is a really fun player to have in best ball, especially for my build. Jaleel McLaughlin, who I think is going to catch a lot of passes. Samaje Perine being out the door is huge for Jaleel McLaughlin. Even if you're betting on a big Javonte Williams season, Jaleel's going to have weekly touches.
I'm very, very in on Jaleel McLaughlin here, especially wasn't Bo Nix like what we were talking about Bucky Irving earlier? Wasn't that Bo Nix's quarterback who had the most running back receptions in the country, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's also a screen merchant.
So there you go. Isn't it easy to say? Like I took Javonte a little bit aggressive yesterday, thinking that he was going to get more than, receptions than we think. But I think Jaleel, obviously you point that out. He's probably the guy that's going to have over on Jaleel receptions, 38.5. What would you take?
Over. Easy.
Okay. 44.5.
Over.
I mean, 53.5.
Over.
Under.
Okay,
over.
So there's the number. That's the number. See, that's how we get. That's how the book.
61 receptions.
Well,
this year,
he said under. You said over. So 53.5 is the number.
Jalen Warren, like what we saw from Jalen Warren last year, that's similar to what we'll see with Jaleel McLaughlin this year.
All right, guys.
That's a take.
It's a good take. I don't know about running back 24, but in terms of receptions, I think very, very similar.
All right, I'm going to take Tyler Algier here, thinking that he can be a little bit more annoying to Bijan than we want him to be. And plus, I never have to call the shot. So are you good with Tyler Algier in a best ball format where I will just scoop up those vulture touchdowns?
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no way when we talk about him versus Brees, Braylon Allen, it's very unlikely that he's it's more going to be Rodgers throwing on the goal line that's annoying to Brees, but you just know Tyler Algier bowling ball style is coming in there and siphoning some of those goal line scores.
Guys, so we're getting to the 15th round, and just to kind of recap our teams here, I'll start out.
Wait, before you do the recap, Cody's pick of Zach Ertz, Theo, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Ertz is going to get you off to a quick start, and Cody also is trying to recover at the tight end position. He took Zach Ertz as his tight end. Yeah, because you have no tight ends. You have
recover.
You have the tight end too, and you've Cole Kmet and Zach Ertz.
What are you trying to do at running back?
But it's tight end premium, my man. Tight end premium. Listen,
Zach Ertz.
Okay, Cody. It's recovering in the sense that you're going to have to draft more of them over the next couple of picks.
Well, the
Cole Kmet get real dirty into the weeds.
I prefer battling at the tight end position, not
battling, not recovering. Okay.
Cody took the tight end too. Cole Kmet on his own team.
Yeah, and it's funny. Cole Kmet was so good in tight end premium last year, and he's just like left for dead right now. I like that value where Cody got him, especially in best ball. It'll be super interesting. Like week one, Cole Kmet. If Cole Kmet has like 7 catches week one, and Gerald Everett has like 1 catch, and everybody's like, "Oh, wait, we messed up on Cole Kmet." I'm not saying to draft Cole Kmet. He's low in my rankings. I do believe the reports, but Cole Kmet was really good last year in FFPC. Like really, really good.
The other one I want to ask you about, I know you were trying to do a recap, but I think this is important. Zeke just went in the 15th round, right? So now with Dalvin signing there, guys, is that more of a Royce Freeman replacement, Dalvin Cook? And should we just still take Zeke how we've been? Or is this basically mean like it's a disaster for all 3 guys now?
Well, first of all, I need to take get a little more Miami correlation. I have a little Tyreek Hill. I drafted Jalen Wright. I'm going to go with a little trifecta, get my tight end 3, and go with a little bit of Jonnu.
Yeah. Puke. Look at this guy recovering at the tight end position.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't
Jonnu.
like that.
You don't like Jonnu as my tight end 3 in the 15th round, Cody?
No, I'm just giving you crap. No, I love Jonnu in general. But we know this tight end thing doesn't. We know this tight end thing doesn't work in Miami.
Can you
for 2 years? Like that was my whole thing. Is like Jonnu is the best ball guy, but I do think he's gonna have some spike weeks in that offense. He's got the yak ability, the speed, and it's an offense that's going to support a lot of people. And again, they only have like how many wide receivers did they keep on that roster? They have like 4 active wideouts week 1. So it's like Devon Achan's going to get a lot of catches, and I think that they're going to have to use Jonnu a little bit. Not saying Jonnu's a guy that you want to bet on to be a huge redraft steal, but he is a guy that I'm continually drafting in like underdog all offseason long. You get him outside of tight end 2 land, and he sort of fits into what Mike McDaniel wants to do. And I don't think it's like we know that tight ends can't do it. I think this is the first one they brought in. We'll see, though.
No, you're right. It's like Jonnu Smith. Look, nobody thought he was going to be a factor last year in Atlanta, and he was the most productive one of the 2. I don't mean to steer us back on course, but I'd ask you guys a question about Zeke and the Dallas backfield. That's something I'm generally interested in because Zeke was part of my draft plan in all these leagues. I've been taking him in the 12th round before this. So is he undraftable basically in a 20 rounder? I mean, that's an exaggeration, but how do you think it's going to be divided up, guys?
I think it's a committee, and I think Rico Dowdle leads it. But I don't think it's going to be necessarily like you're super excited about Rico Dowdle. I could be wrong on this one. I think they're going to be super pass happy. I think guys like Jalen Tolbert and Jake Ferguson are going to probably be more effective than we think. I think Brandon Cooks will outscore what he did last year. And I think CeeDee Lamb is going to lead the NFL in targets again. And I think CeeDee Lamb, I'm curious what you guys have to say about this one. Cody, I think CeeDee Lamb might challenge for 200 targets this year. That's sort of my biggest bold statement of the entire offseason. I think CeeDee Lamb might really, really be targeted, like at a disgusting rate.
I don't think you're wrong there. I like that.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, my thought was, I guess, wishful thinking because Zeke is, like I said, has been part of my draft plan. And it's not super exciting to talk about Zeke, but I had him penciled in for 9 touchdowns. But I think that this puts, or put it this way. Do you think Dalvin will get drafted in this 20 round draft? That's a better way.
No. You know what? He might be a 20th rounder.
Theo?
I don't know if Dalvin will get drafted, but the 20th round, Cody's right. Like 20th round is like, it's whatever you're feeling. It's the vibes round.
Yeah,
it's all vibes.
People are drafting Tyler Boyd in the 20th round. It's like, Dalvin's just as good of a pick as him. Good point.
I'll say anybody drafting late, we're starting to see Samaje Perine go earlier and earlier. I saw him go in the 13th round of an FFPC main event.
That's a little crazy. That's a little aggressive, but like where would Jerick McKinnon go if he was the guy, right? I guess that's how you have to think of it.
So I am OTC here, and I'll go with a flag plant pick. Do I need to take him here? Is the question.
Give him another tight end. Give him Malik Washington. Give him Odell Beckham.
No
Miami correlation.
No more. I'm good. I got my 3 Dolphins. I'm good.
Never enough Miami.
Let's go with. I'm going to go with my guy. I'm going to go with a little bit of Braylon Allen right here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Don't hate it.
Big Braylon.
Is that your RB3?
Well, Cody, no, he's actually my RB4, but I'm not done yet. But I'll say this. Cody, how great a world would it be right now if Braylon Allen was a Dallas Cowboy and they would have just done the right thing and taken him in the end of the third round? We'd be drafting Braylon Allen at like the 3-4 turn, maybe inside of round 3. We'd be going nuts for Braylon.
Brother. Like, that's all. I'm just going to repeat that like 100 times if I can.
It
like,
would be incredible.
What? Like, my name's Jerry Jones and I am the GM. Nobody can do this job better than I can. Like, no, I think a lot of people could probably do that job better than you could. Like, you literally, all you had to do was click a button or send in a piece of paper and get one of these running backs, whether it was Corum, whether it was Braylon Allen, whether it was Jalen Wright, like just one.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It would have been
they fired their director of analytics a year ago and thought it was going to get better. It got worse, homie. It got worse.
They have the second best odds to win the NFC, you know. Like San Fran has the best odds, I mean the shortest.
Wait,
and
what?
Yeah, Dallas is the second favorite in the NFC to win the NFC.
The NFC, they're the second favorite to win ahead of Detroit?
Double check me on that. Double check me.
Double check that one. Let's get our producer to double check that one.
Here, I'll
get
check
in the chat here.
Let's see. Hold on. I'm gonna go.
All right, guys, we're coming up on the end of the 16th round. Yeah, we're getting into the weeds here, guys. This is always fun.
How do you feel about that Luke McCaffrey?
Luke McCaffrey has a pathway. You don't necessarily like seeing Noah Brown land in Washington, just another veteran wide receiver, but I don't know. McCaffrey, especially in best ball, is interesting.
Guys, Cowboys are 5. Cowboys at 5. It goes 49ers at plus 300, Lions plus 550, Eagles plus 550, Packers 800, Cowboys 800. So they're tied for 4th.
I'm going to go make a bet on the Packers.
Sorry.
Packers might be it. I think the Packers are really strong to win the NFC this year. And I like Detroit as well. I think that the NFC North is going to be really, really fun to watch.
How about Rams at 1,400?
I don't know.
They were almost there last year.
I'll say Arizona is sneaky in that division. I think they take a big step forward.
Dude, what are the odds on Arizona? That's a good question because back in May they were they
plus 3,500, 35 to 1.
So to win the division though. So the division they were plus 1,100 back in April or May, right after the draft, and now they're plus 1,300, which is worse. I took them at plus 1,100 to win the West. I thought they were a sleeper pick, but obviously the book is going the opposite direction on that, which is worse odds than the Panthers have to win their division. Holy cow!
So quick Super Bowl pick, guys. Who do you think is going to win the NFC? Who do you think is going to win the AFC?
I think Kansas City is
gonna.
I think Kansas City wins the Super Bowl. I think it could be the Packers. I think it could be the Lions. I'm gonna stick with those two out of the NFC.
So you picked 4 teams to make the Super Bowl. Very good. No. Cody, who do you have?
I said Kansas City against somebody from the NFC North, and Kansas City wins.
Okay, fair enough. Cody?
Packers, Chiefs, parlay plus 3,950.
All right. I got Jets and Cowboys. Not what do I have? Jets and
Cowboys.
No. Sorry, I had Jets and Rams. That's my pick. Jets and Rams, and obviously, if that, I'm just being like the Jets. I really do believe can do it. I really believe they could do it. Just the price. I mean, you think this is gonna be the first time we see a three-peat? I mean, that's hard to do, man. That's hard to do.
Some real sicko shit, but that's how you get the conversation rolling for Patty Mack being the GOAT. You get him a three-peat.
By the way, I almost took Theo Johnson just went off the board, the starting tight end for the Giants, the rookie. I thought about him. I ended up taking Greg Dortch.
Mason Spain. It just, the guy just has to snipe me there.
Theo just got double sniped.
I just get sniped on that. Yeah, and he takes Theo Johnson, the best name in the NFL, the best first name
Johnson?
By a mile.
Johnson?
Theo.
Oh, okay. I got the joke.
Theo's Johnson.
All right, so
Theo's Johnson. There you go.
This is just going to be
a team name, baby. That's a team name right there.
Yes, Theo's. Yes, that's got to be your team name, Theo's Johnson.
That's just going to be an angry pick. Do I make an angry pick right here, or do I go with
Miller?
No. I'm going to go with a little bit of Cody Carpentier pick right here.
Yeah, all picks should be angry, by the way.
Shipley, baby. Hey, he could have done work in Dallas.
Taking a ship. Oh, yeah. Will Shipley, we'd be loving him.
Will Shitley. Yeah, no, that one is not. That one is not. I mean, do you think he's the direct backup, or are we talking about a committee once if Barkley misses a game or two?
I think if they would, if say Barkley goes down, I think let's say Barkley goes down in Brazil, and we're looking at Gainwell, I think would be the next man in. But after like a game or two, Shipley would take over. He's just so much better.
None of that's what happens a lot of time. The workhorse goes down, and we think we know who the next man up is, and it ends up being like truly like a committee of 3 that end up replacing one guy.
Shipley's just better at him at everything though, because like if Shipley was like a between the tackles guy, and it was like Audric Estime or somebody like we also like then I'd say okay, maybe they go with Gainwell because he's more well-rounded, knows the system. But Shipley's also just a better receiver. It's not even close. Like Shipley's it for me.
And then I will just ask you about a quote sleeper tight end here. I don't care if you take him from me, but tight end 1 on the Colts, Kylen Granson. What could you tell me about him? Because he is now atop the depth chart, guys. And again, that might not be worth much, but if you're, is he a red zone guy? I know he's a little bit smaller than Woods. I mean, who isn't?
Listen. Let me tell you something. They wrote a song about this years and years ago. It was called "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls" by TLC.
Fair enough.
And it's about guys like you trying to chase Kylen Granson in like year 4, who hasn't done a thing, and now has Adonai Mitchell, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, and a quarterback who's going to lead the NFL in rushing yards at the quarterback position potentially. So I don't know.
Yeah, it just made every time you see a guy that's atop the depth chart at a position in the 18th round, it's something worth exploring, right, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole Indianapolis situation is interesting with it being so run heavy. Like Vegas, Pittsburgh, Colts, they're gonna be so run heavy, and Indianapolis has got the best offensive line in football. Jonathan Taylor's a savage. We think he's gonna bounce back. Wow, Roshan. Holy cow. That's another one that could just tilt you. I think Granson's interesting. I was never in on Jelani. I was never in really on any of these tight ends, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
I think it's a fine pick, but I just like I can't even sell myself on Adonai Mitchell, and Adonai Mitchell's sick. So, and that says more about the passing game, I think, than anything. So getting me on a tight end, like when I hear positive things about Alec Pierce and golly, I was thought that Everett would fall to the 19th round.
You thought who would Everett?
Everett, yeah. I was going to try and do that the double with the tight ends there.
Jawan's a good pick, don't you think? There, Theo, that Jawan Johnson's a pretty good pick in the 18th.
Jawan's a very good value there in the 18th. I agree on that one.
Yeah, I was eyeballing him. It's been a while since. Yeah, I mean, the pickings are slimmins right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I added a little Quentin Johnston.
Yeah,
get a little bit of more correlation with Herbert. that one week, guys. I'll get 1 week out of 17 where.
Hey, look, it is not out of the question that Quentin Johnson is the guy that nobody saw coming and is what waiver wire week 1 pickup, right? Like that's
fair. I mean, come on.
It is, dude. Look at the depth chart, right? It's McConkey, who's a rookie, and Josh Palmer, who goes in the 11th round of single quarterback leagues. It is not.
Well, here you go. This is like a Harbaugh. Like if you're a new regime, and you're Harbaugh and you're Greg Roman, like what would be more of a way of like being on brand and like, hey, we're this tough team that our 7th rounder Brendan Rice just out snaps like Quentin Johnston. Like if you're trying to get right. It's just you can just see it now, and like Harbaugh loves like the grit from like his 7th round pick and does everything as asked and wants to just show that like the last regime was so dumb. They drafted this guy in the 1st round, and here we go. Now we're drafting offensive linemen every single year that I'm going to be the head coach. We're taking the best lineman on the board.
Yep. Aiden O'Connell, guys, I took him right here in the 18th round. Over on starts for Aiden O'Connell.
I don't know.
I mean, is it okay? If I set it at 3.5, Theo, would you take the over?
Yes.
I think that people in Vegas are going to love Gardner Minshew. I think
I'm not saying they'll love him, but what happens when he has the 3 interception game in week 4 and they're 2-5 or whatever?
Sorry, that's the thing. Like
week 7.
I will say, like Antonio Pierce is like a real football guy, and he's going to put a lot of pressure on his quarterback in the wins and losses department. So you're probably right. I do think Aiden O'Connell probably does get 5-6 starts, but I think that like that first game is going to say a lot because the last time the Chargers and the Raiders played, the Raiders woodshedded them, and they play week 1. Raiders come out and get that win against Harbaugh in week 1. Antonio Pierce against Harbaugh. Then I think they'll stick with Minshew a little bit longer. That first game is going to say a lot for both those teams.
You're right, though. If Minshew if they're winning or even just average, you're right. Like Minshew is that's someone that everyone loves rooting for. You can see all the Raiders fans with their black and gold face paint and having the mustaches. Like you can already see it.
Absolutely.
All right.
So we are creeping up here, guys. We're almost at the end game here.
This is putrid.
Yeah, this gets really, really ugly when you get this late into the drafts.
I like a lot of guys that are left, but some of these picks are fucking horrible.
So Hayden Hurst, another guy that fits that bill I was talking about on top of the depth chart. Obviously, the situation's not great, and he's just never been good every step of the way here. But man, I mean, like I said, the pass catcher room is so thin and so unestablished that why can't, when Hansen goes to red zone and we see there's a Chargers touchdown, everyone's on tilt because it's Hayden Hurst, right?
Well, I have a pick coming up that I hope I don't get sniped on, and I think Mason Spain might. Okay, good. So I'm gonna double tap. I get a nice. They box me out on all of the Packers. No, they box me out on all the Packers wide receivers.
Tucker,
but they can't box me out on the double tap at tight end. Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave to go with my Jordan Love. Let's just hope that the tight end position in Green Bay, both those guys have some weeks because I like that double tap.
Yeah, good stuff. By the way, Theo and Cody, great job hosting this thing, man. A lot of fun hanging as we head into the end of the 19th, early 20th. Give yourself a draft grade, Cody, and then Theo will do the same, and I'll tag on to the end of that.
I would say to this point, I'll go with a B, a straight B.
Straight B. And Theo, you're going to do a gay C?
No. And Alan means happy.
Yeah.
Listening at home. Okay. But it's a for me, I like this team. I think that I'm very, very fragile at the running back position. But if Najee Harris has a year where he finishes like as a top 15 play at the running back spot, then I think I actually have a chance to win this. Laporta was good value. Jordan Love was good value. I think Herbert was good value. And I think I have the best wide receiver room in this entire draft. And this is a wide receiver heavy format. So yeah, I'm fragile at running back. I think some people will dislike it, but I like Jaleel McLaughlin where I got him. And then between Jalen Wright, Braylon Allen, and Will Shipley, 3 guys, we like the talent. We just need an opportunity. So
give yourself a letter. Give yourself a letter.
I'm gonna say I'm a solid B. I'm
that's okay.
Same thing.
My guy Granson just went. My super sleeper.
Can I get a number between 1 and 6 from one of you guys?
What is 1 and 6
for your draft grade?
Just give me a number right now.
4.
2.
Oh, nice.
But I might Devon Vele.
So explain.
He's older than Cody.
Okay, so I saw he's 25 years old. So Cody, you drafted him. He's trending on sleepers. I see people picking him up. Give me his story. Devon Vele.
Yeah, I mean he's a Tim Patrick doppelganger. He's got healthy knees.
He's big, right? 6'5".
Yeah. They cut me 6'4", 211. I think they cut Patrick because they said this is the same thing. So when you look at that room out there in Denver, like as much as we love Marvin Mims, it gets pretty. Emmanuel Wilson. That was number 2 on the list.
I had him in my queue as well.
Mm-hmm.
I had all the running backs. I have all the running backs for all the backups to all my starters in my queue. Oh no! So I had Vele, Whittington, Wilson, Mitchell, Tucker, Lobby. So now I'm down to my 3 running backs, and I think I'm going to take the non-cuff here.
All right. So, who do you think had the worst draft on this board?
It's
pretty obvious to me.
Who had the worst one?
Sorry, Dwain. Dwain's awesome. He's a great, I really enjoy his stuff, but
his quarterbacks are completely
This is not how you super flex, Like,
these quarterbacks are cucked, dude.
Yeah, Dwain.
So I got some vibes here with my we'll crowdsource this with Cody and Alan. So I have Kenneth Gainwell and do a double tap of the Philadelphia backup running back job, which if Saquon goes down, that's how you win a tournament. I have Keaton Mitchell, who is on the pup, but
he's my cuff.
Keaton Mitchell is a guy that I like. And then I have Miles Sanders just because if Brooks can't go and Chuba Hubbard doesn't hold up, this could be a dead cat bounce.
What's the first one you listed off?
Kenneth Gainwell or Keaton Mitchell?
Keaton. Keaton. I mean,
I'm going a little Keaton. If as long as Bip doesn't snipe me here.
Oh, you're getting sniped.
And for my pick, guys, I even though it's basically a dead spot, like I'm only going to be playing with 19 players, I'm going to take Jameis Winston just in case anything happens with Watson. And again,
that's a good call.
Yeah, I mean,
Keaton Mitchell is on my team.
Well done. See, boy, what are the odds now, Cody? We said 20th round for Dalvin Cook. He hasn't got yet.
Who's taking him? here?
I don't think he's
going. Seslowsky is going to take him for the vibes.
No, I just said
Creel's got Zeke.
Okay. I don't. While you were picking Theo, I'm taking Jameis Winston. I'm taking him if he's there because I need to protect. Even though it gives me a dead spot, I'm playing with 19 players. Guarendo's a good pick there.
One of these two picks, he's going to go.
Guarendo is a nice pick.
Yeah. Do you agree with the Jameis to give me a little insurance, or you just don't like playing that way?
I love that.
No, I think Jameis has pathways now. I mean, Jameis could also get traded. And we also aren't.
They just traded. Oh, they got the Huntley is the one they traded, right? Yeah. Oh, they cut him. Okay.
So the whole like Deshaun Watson doesn't want to have a voice behind him or something like that is I don't know. It was out there.
Jeez. And then, Sermon's actually low key interesting.
Yeah, that was a good pick. I definitely like that one.
Okay, so let's
Ray
McLeod right there, getting into the weeds here.
That is donk central.
So I will recap my team, and then we'll pass it over to Alan and then Cody. Tyreek Hill, Jordan Love, Sam Laporta. Those are my first 3 rounds. Then I go Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, Justin Herbert, Tank Dell, Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey. So I ended up with 6 wide receivers in my first 9 picks. Then I went Russell Wilson as my QB3, Najee Harris as my RB1, Luke Musgrave, Jalen Wright, Jaleel McLaughlin. Take Jonnu Smith as my tight end 3. Then I take Braylon Allen and Will Shipley, Quentin Johnston as my final wide receiver pick, Tucker Kraft as my tight end 4, double tapping the Green Bay tight end room, and then Keaton Mitchell as my Mr. Irrelevant pick. Alan, recap your draft.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to go through every single pick, but...
No, go through every single pick.
Okay. You want me to go through every pick? Yeah. Patrick Mahomes at the 103, Garrett Wilson, who I think could be the 101 next year in a lot of drafts if things work out. JT, Rashee Rice to correlate with Mahomes. Then the little tight end run started in round 5, so I took Kittle, who better in best ball. The next coming around, the 6-7, my plan was to stack Watson and Cooper. I did that. Right after there, the little running back run starts. Never feels good to take James Cook, Alvin Kamara, or Aaron Jones, but when you have them as a pairing in a deep league like this, you know those guys are going to have jobs. They're going to be secure, no benching risk there. Hollywood Brown falling like a stone to round 11. Again, correlation with Patrick Mahomes, like having him as he gets healthy. Don't need him right away. Rashid Shaheed and Isaiah Likely, the next 2 picks. We talked about Likely, man. Could be more than just a backup there. Then we get into the deep waters here. Algier and Gus Edwards, touchdown or bust players. But hey, look, I need those guys in my flex twos. And then we get into the real dregs here where you're just scraping. Demarcus Robinson proved useful in the Sean McVay offense. People like Greg Dortch in PPR leagues. And then Aiden O'Connell is just a bet against Minshew to give me a couple starts just in case things don't work out with any of my QBs. Hayden Hurst, a tight end atop the depth chart. Hey, he's going to be on the field. And then last, it's a controversial pick, meaning that you want to take someone that at least has upside. Jameis Winston is a dead pick unless Watson fails. It's an insurance pick.
Alan, you just told a novel. You just wrote a novel about your team.
I just asked you you want me to not go over every pick?
Recap. No, you did a great job. I'm just
okay. All right. I told you I was not trying to go over a novel. I was just going
to. I loved it. I love the way you described it, James Winston. Alan, you did some nice picks tonight. Cody, break down your team.
Anthony Richardson at the 110, quarterback 8, Amon-Ra St. Brown at the 203. The one pick in hindsight, totality of hindsight, I regret is thinking that Malik Neighbors would make it back to me at the 4-3. I would have taken him at the 310 and started out Richardson, St. Brown, Neighbors. Instead, I started out with Henry. I get Etienne at the 403, Stafford at the 510 for my quarterback 2, Josh Jacobs, running back 3, and at the 603, Christian Kirk is my wide receiver 2 at the 710. Rachaad White, my 4th running back in 8 rounds at the 803. Another running back 1. All 4 of these guys are going to finish as running back 1s this year. And then I just peed yellow. Jamison Williams at the 910, DeAndre Hopkins at the 10-3, Brandon Cooks at the 11-10, and Dontavian Wicks at the 12-3. And yes, that did give me the same exact amount of wide receivers as Theo through 12 rounds. Then I went Komet, Ertz, Sinnott in the 13th, 14th, and 15th. I was going to try and get our boy Gerald Everett later on. Didn't fall to me, so I got the number 1 tight end in Chicago, and it's based on strictly tight ends. Ertz and Sinnott is based on a similar to the Ertz McBride situation in Arizona. Ertz is going to be heavily targeted the first 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season. Sinnott's going to win you the league. I love these 3 guys. I get Diami for that stretch position in Washington. That Brian Thomas role with Jaden Daniels. Sign me the up. I get Taysom with quarterback eligibility in a Superflex league where I do need a little bit of depth help at quarterback. So I take Taysom here, who's going to be, everywhere in this offense because Kendra Miller can't stay healthy and Jamal Williams sucks. And they really don't have a tight end. Jawan Johnson's there, but he sucks. Taysom Hill's going to score 8 touchdowns this year. Michael Penix at the 18.3 because Kirk Cousins will not be healthy. They haven't played Penix this preseason very much at all because he's going to be the starter by week 6. Devon Vele, wide receiver 2 in Denver. Dylan Lobby, 87 targets in 2024.
I love it. Let's give one bold prediction for the NFL season, fantasy-wise, before we finish up. Alan, you start us out.
Sure. This goes against my team build, but my bold prediction is Rashee Rice will be suspended for 8 games.
Whoa.
It's going to happen. Yes, and let me give you the quick explanation. You said a bold prediction, right? It's not going to be 2 games, right? Like if he gets it, it's going to be a big suspension. So it's going to be 0 or it's going to be 8, right? And a lot of times the NFL just waits until the criminal case is concluded. They may just plead it out tomorrow, or they may just drop the charges, and all of a sudden, NFL, here we go. So I think that, again, it's a bold prediction, which means it's not likely to happen, but I think that, what is it, a 20% chance in my head? So I think that is a possible outcome. Bold prediction, Rashee Rice off the field for 8 games.
Okay, I'll go with my bold prediction here. The NFL record for the most targets ever is Marvin Harrison Sr. with 205. CeeDee Lamb breaks the record this year, guys. 210 targets. They are going to use him as much as we have ever seen. Woo! 210 targets for CeeDee Lamb. Take him one-on-one in your PPR leagues.
Why not just make it 414 targets, Theo? You might as well, right? Just keep going.
For the vibes? No. 210. Yeah. five more than the record with an extra game to play.
All right, Cody, you better come with the heat now.
Rookie edition. Malik Neighbors was, and will be the wide receiver 1 in this rookie class. He will finish as a top 4 wide receiver in fantasy football overall as a rookie on the Giants. Yes, you remember Allen Robinson's sophomore season, 150 targets, 80 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 14 touchdowns with Blake Bortles on a 5-11 Jacksonville Jaguars team. Malik Neighbors dominates. And just for extra credit, Brian Thomas in Jacksonville, 10 touchdowns, gives you a Christian Watson-like rookie season.
I love that one. I love your predictions there. Malik Neighbors is going to finish as a wide receiver 1. I agree on that one. Marvin Harrison Jr. joins him as a wide receiver 1. Brian Thomas goes nuts. I'm just backing up Cody's. I love those ones.
Would you take Neighbors in round 2, by the way?
I've taken him in round 2.
Okay.
I've taken him at the early 3rd, though. You get him there. But I took him in an NFFC 350. I took him at like the 211 or the 212, Alan.
So you wouldn't take him ahead of like Olave or Waddle or
I think if you draft a lot, there's scenarios where he outscores those guys.
He just went ahead of Olave.
I would take Waddle ahead of him head to head. I love Waddle and but they're all in the same tier. Like all those guys are really strong, and I think they all are going to be wide receiver ones this year. I think those guys are all really going to smash. Alan, let everybody know where they can find your podcast weekly schedule in season.
Sure. The one thing I'm promoting right now is SiriusXM radio show Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time, channel 87.
Awesome. Cody, let everybody know like one or two shows that they should be tuning in for. You're everywhere, but let everybody know sort of like where they can find you on the regular.
The easiest way is just follow me at Cody Carpentier on X, because that's where I'll post everything. But I'm at RosterWatch, I'm at South Harmon, I'm at Orange Bloods, whatever tickles your fancy, I'll be there doing that. But also, just because Alan brought it up, you can go check out Alan on Sundays. I'll be there on Saturdays from 3 to 5 Eastern time. So SiriusXM channel 87, your boys going to be over there, RosterWatch. So, but yeah, most of my stuff's over at RosterWatch. I also just dropped mock draft, NFL mock draft 1.0, RosterWatch.com, was released on Thursday.
Or you could just follow Cody's Grinder profile. That's the easiest way.
Yes. Alan, like this is press coverage. This we try to keep this PG.
Yeah,
wait, hold on. Are you saying there's something wrong with Grinder app? Like, what do you have against the Grinder app?
Guys,
you like pressing that button.
Fun. This was a really, really fun draft. Big shout out to Alan. Big shout out to Cody. Shout out to both of you guys. We podcasted together a lot this year. I think we're all going to crush it this season. Shout out to the press coverage audience. I'll try to get one more in before Vegas, but Vegas is right around the corner for me. Big live drafts for me.
Where are you staying?
In New York, Cosmo. I'm a Cosmo guy, so I'll be right across the street from Planet Hollywood, right down the street from the MGM Park. So I'll be at the NFFC, FFPC. If you're drafting either one of those, come say what's up. Stick with us here, right at press coverage all season long. We're gonna help you crush your leagues this season.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.